Three cheese?
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso, and I'm here yet again to talk to you about family matters. A subject I've spoken about surprisingly a lot on this channel. I never knew I had so much to say about the series before I started making videos. I mean, I liked the show a lot as a kid, but I don't know, I wasn't exactly a die-hard Urkel fan. I don't know, I figured I'd speak more about shows like Drake and Josh, or Kenan and Kel, Angel, Buffy, or a plethora of Batman shows. By the way, all of that may or may not be hints of things to come. They may. They are. They will come. Anyway, today I'm here to talk to you about the season of Family Matters that never was. Collectively, there have been all of 9 seasons of the show Family Matters, making it the 3rd longest running black sitcom of all time. Just behind one of my personal favorites, The Jeffersons, which, by the way, now that's a show that I need to review, and House of Pain, which, by the way, that's a show I hope I never have to watch in my lifetime. Despite 9 seasons airing, a 10th one was planned to be the final season of the show's run. Due to salaries increases, a sudden drop in ratings, and a rise in production costs, unfortunately the show would be cancelled before that could happen. Season 10 was being developed while Season 9 was still ongoing, leaving us with some concept of what the show's vision for a goodbye would look like. Now right now I'm collecting from various different sources, so I'll be the first to admit here, maybe 1 or 2 of them isn't entirely accurate. A lot of it is, but I'll be real with you, there's some factoids here that I find highly suspicious. But that seems to be a thing with this series. And I think that's also a big part of the reason that I keep coming back to it. There's so much lore behind the scenes. I previously mentioned how it's been said for over a decade that Judy Winslow walked upstairs after being sent to her room and never came back down, and how that's not actually what happened at all. There's also been that long-running myth that Jo Marie Payton actually made her return to the series in the finale, this time playing a completely different character, which is something that she herself has debunked on at least 2 occasions. My point here is that there's a lot of information on the show and a lot of people seem to accept fiction as fact. Now typically, I like debunking these and getting down to the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But that's a little bit harder to do here considering that Season 10 doesn't actually exist. So as of now, all I have to go on is various sources on the internet. There was a moment where I thought that I had hit the jackpot. I thought I found a synopsis of everything that was going to happen in Season 10. And then I read through it and it was fan fiction. It was fanfic. Somebody made a fake synopsis of a bunch of episodes that were never going to be aired or made on the Family Matters Wikia. And, presented it as fact. So much for that deep dive. Anyway, with that being said, with that little disclaimer, let's dive right into this and get real weird with it. What would Family Matters Season 10 have looked like? First and foremost, Urkel and Laura were engaged to be married. It's unknown if the next season would start off or end with the wedding, but there was definitely going to be a wedding. I personally think it probably would have been a finale because from everything that I've read, there was a big build-up to these two finally getting hitched, with a lot of characters returning for the event, including Aunt Rachel coming back once again as she did the season before, and more notably, allegedly having Judy Winslow return from whatever abyss she was banished to in the previous seasons. Now I don't know if the plan was to bring back Jaimee Foxworth, hopefully it would have been, not that it really matters in hindsight because it never happened, but they also may have alternatively casted a new actress, probably figuring, hey, it's been long enough, no one's even gonna remember what Judy looked like. I mean, if the showrunners forgot about her, why wouldn't everybody else? Then again, I don't think timing is really an issue with them because in the previous season, they casted a completely different actress to replace one of its leads practically overnight. So, clearly, replacing actors was not an issue for the show. The storyline reason for Judy's disappearance would be that she's now living in Detroit with her Aunt Rachel. Again, I said it in my previous Family Matters video, you can't just go around swapping kids like that. What'd you do? You said, hey, you take Richie, I'll take Judy? That's not how that works. I mean, I don't have a child that I know of, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't work like that. But you see, what makes even less sense than trading children is that Judy was going to be living with her Aunt Rachel. That's where she was, right? So tell me, Where was Judy the 2 or 3 seasons that Aunt Rachel was still around? And she was gone. Where was she then? But like a lot of things that I found when I was researching this, that Judy bit came off a little bit, well, off to me. And after I was finished recording my initial narration, that's when it occurred to me that I've spoken in passing to Judy's actress, Jaimee. So I decided to hit her up and see if she could shine some light on this situation. I keep reading that had the show win another season, they planned on bringing back Judy. Is there any truth to that to your knowledge? Did anyone reach out to you or show interest in your return to screen? She responded,
Okay, so, technically they, producers/creators of the show, had told me that they would probably have me back initially when we had the meeting about me leaving the show. Nothing was ever planned or in writing though. That's the main reason why they never recasted for the role or had an episode explaining why Judy's character was no longer around. The producers were pretty notorious for ghosting characters of their shows, but they didn't anticipate the fans to write in or make such an uproar about Judy. After I left, I never heard from anyone from production or the cast about returning.
To which I then asked if she heard any of these rumors before. She said,
Lol, yes, I've heard about it all growing up. Actually, I used to get a little irritated with the show for leaving me with no explanation to give to fans when I was approached in my teenage years. I didn't want the show to be put in a certain light because it was a family show. As I got older, for me personally, I just learned to speak the truth about it.
Waldo was also going to return to the show apparently. And I actually forgot that he went missing for the final 2 seasons, didn't he? That's sad. That's sad. Waldo was so perfectly stupid that it's impossible to hate him. He was a lovable moron. And I specifically remember him giving me some of the loudest laughs I've ever had during that show. You know, it's no wonder I stopped watching by this point. Like with Judy Winslow, it's not clear if Waldo's original actor would return to the show, because previously he left because of contract negotiations, so I don't know, there's a chance he would have been recasted too. But speaking about recast, let's talk about a recast, if that's the proper terminology. It might not be. I hope it isn't. It sounds stupid. But now, mind you, the original Harriet Winslow, Jo Marie Payton, had already left the series, being replaced by a completely different actress for the last 9 episodes of the 9th season. Jo Marie Payton, from what I've read, was allegedly set to return for the show's final season. This is one of those things that I don't know how true that is, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. She left the previous season before that season ended because she wanted to move on to new creative endeavors. I can't imagine that she found the time to do all of that within that 9-episode span and then thought, oh yeah, that's enough of that, and then agreed to come back to the role that she handed off to someone else. I would have loved to see her return because to me, her and Carl's chemistry was the core of the show. Even if Steve was the face, Carl and Harriet were the reasons I tuned in. So that's why I really want it to be true. But more than that, I actually want it to be true because it would be hilarious. Having a character replaced for a brief time, only for the original actor to come back, come on, that's comedy. Kind of like that one episode of Drake and Josh where they replaced Helen's actress only to have the original Helen appear the next time they needed the character. TV, never change. Actually, come to think of it though, while I am making these jokes, I did just give high praise to the Jeffersons and they switched their son out like twice. So... I've also read that they intended to write off Jaleel White's other characters in an attempt to get back to the core of the show. And again, that's something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Especially if this is going to be the show's last season. There's no reason to try and reshape the show if it's already on its way out. Just let it hang its hat up and shut the light off. Call it a day. Also, bringing up characters like Myrtle Urkel, OGD, Stefan, and probably the Robot Urkel for all I know, is just a valuable waste of screen time. You cast Judy into the Shadow Realm at random, but you really think the world must know what happens to OGD? I mean, how could I sleep at night not knowing if Myrtle Urkel and Eddie finally got it on? Also, returning to the show's roots? What, were you gonna get rid of Urkel altogether and make it be about the family? Because I could potentially be in favor of that. I mean, the last episode almost ended with Urkel trapped in space. The sky is literally the limit here. You can't just go back to being grounded overnight. It does not work. Another big reveal of this season was going to be the reveal that Laura was pregnant. Oh, great. Yeah, no, fantastic. Just what this fictional world needed. More Urkels. Laura, has your father not suffered enough? I'm starting to get why he shot a kid that one time. Especially if that kid's last name was Urkel. Everyone's favorite evil Steve Urkel toy. No, not that. I own that one, not that one. That's right, that one. Stevel was coming back with a vengeance. In the last Stevel episode, the puppet was joined by an evil Carl lookalike named Carlsbad. And this time around, he'd be joined by his blushing bride, Loradin.
This is such good shit.
3J was still going to be a part of the show, and I don't think that he'd have a whole lot to do. I still can't get over it that they got rid of a kid because there's too much crowding. We don't need any more kids. It's not interesting. And then they went out a couple years later and they got another kid to make things interesting again. And they also sprung Orlando Brown on all of us.
Thank you for that.
Had Myra returned, those in charge wanted to give the character a happy ending. And I've read that they either intended to pair her with OGD or Stefan. But I don't think either one of those pairings really works. And not just because neither one of those pairings include me, because I always had a thing for Myra when I was watching the show as a kid. I don't see how that's relevant. But because Myra had already made her light disdain of Stefan known in previous episodes. Even in an episode that would see the two team up. I can't imagine OGD being a much better match either. I think something as simple as having her meet an Urkel-esque character probably would have been a nice enough send-off for her. It made me feel a little bit cheap, but it would be an understandable conclusion to the character's time on the show.
With all due respect, that is bullshit!
It was also around this time that Myra Monkhouse actress Michelle Thomas became very sick, and would take a leave from all the projects that she was a part of, meaning had the show continued, she also would have had to leave. But even in saying this, I think the strangest thing that was going to come at the end of the series was that Urkel would wind up teaming up with Snoop Dogg to legally sell purple Urkel marijuana. Oh, what's that? I'm sorry? Oh no, that's real life. That happened. That's a thing that's going on in the world right now.
Let's take it easy.
What a time to be alive. Anyway, that's all the information I could find on Family Matters' potential final season. I think we can all agree that all of this is highly suspicious, right? I mean, some of this information seems, a little suspect to say the least. But all of this is scattered throughout the internet. Quote-unquote trusted sites have even given me some of this information. Surely there has to be some way of separating fact and fiction. Well, actually there is. Because again, after my initial narration, I remembered that one of the producers of Family Matters actually follows me on Twitter. So I decided to reach out to one Stephen Langford to ask what the final season, the hyped up season 10, was planned to be. To which he said,
"There weren't any. The ratings had dropped due to the network switch, so we knew there wouldn't be a season 10, so have at it."
Meaning everything you'll come across about Family Matters season 10 on the internet is absolute bullshit. It's not true. You heard it from the man himself.
It's a fake!
It's real! Don't you understand? It is real! I created it, and it's real!
And I want to thank Stephen Langford for humoring me and even making himself available if I have any other questions in the near future. And I want to thank him even more for ending our conversation using an Urkel gif. I mean, how could you not like that? It's a nice touch. He seems like a nice guy and a talented one at that too, being a writer on 2 episodes of Creepshow and 3 episodes of Tiny Toon Adventures, which is pretty dope actually. I mean, he's done a lot of other things, but those of course are what stick out to me personally. Well, those and Family Matters. So feel free to give the man a follow. I'll be including his link in the description below. It's funny, when I was making this video, I went into it thinking that a lot of what I would find would be somewhat legitimate. But the more research I did, the more I realized that there was very little legitimacy behind all of these claims. So I think if we learned anything from this experience, it's that you shouldn't trust the internet. I mean, I'm saying all of this on the internet, so maybe that's not the right message. I'm not sure what we learned. In all seriousness, I hope this helps to expel the rumors of a season 10. And again, I want to thank Jaimee for her help with this video as well. Guys, if you haven't already, go check her out, link in the description below. And who knows, you may or may not see her on this channel relatively soon. But no spoilers. Outside the one that I just gave you.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was V Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.